We'll bring Brian Jones in right now from CBS Sports. He's waiting. He's beautiful. Got that top 4 prediction ready to go.
Look at that sexy man right there.
He's laughing like Santa Claus with that beard. If we mixed the 2 of us together, we would have Santa Claus.
Listen, first of all, whose idea was to put you 2 back together again? Match made in heaven, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Dead. It's Jeff's fault.
Brian, I wanted to ask you, because you would have played in those old AstroTurf days in the NFL and in college. Do you remember one day more than any other where you felt like your feet were going to catch on fire?
Yes, there's a particular day at UT, and it was about 150 degrees on that turf.
Oof.
And those old rubber soles we were wearing, those Nikes, man, they were melting. And I'll never forget something old Kenneth Sims said to me when it's hot. He said he had a coach that said, "Don't tell the man next to you it's hot. He might not know it." And if you didn't know it was hot on that particular day, you were dead. It was blistering hot. It was crazy. It was just nuts. So yeah, and I hated that turf, and the steam would rise from it, and you, of course you had all the bacteria that had built up in those bad boys, and you get those strawberries. But yeah, I do not miss playing on artificial turf one iota, not at all.
Yeah, that's just brutal.
Brian, what I was trying to tell people, we had this conversation, and they talk about the hottest days that they can remember going to games. And I just feel like there's a completely different section for AstroTurf days that you just can't compare it to any day, any temperature where there's grass or something not AstroTurf.
100%. And add to the mix, you're out there and you got back then, because it's evolved the equipment, you got 20 pounds of equipment on. This big old helmet was heavy. It's still heavy. And just imagine running around with that bad boy on and those big old shoulder pads we wore back then. And now you look at the pads, they're so light. It's really, you're out there wearing pretty much nothing. I'd love to play today with the equipment and the evolution of that same equipment. But yeah, you tack on the tonnage of equipment, and that coupled with the heat, and somehow we were conditioned to get through it and fight through it, and so that's what we did.
Because everybody was tougher back then, Brian Jones. That's why. These kids aren't tough.
Boys.
Come on now. Come on. We're talking with Brian Jones. Sexy Lovey Smith himself is joining us. You see him on CBS. You're going to check him out all season long. Brian, real quick, since we're in this format, Ketch asked me, gave me a buy or sell that you were going to swear, and I said, I certainly hope so. Officially for the people, what is your favorite swear word on this Thursday?
Well, Ketch, and I guess it's a good thing, my now new bride has really helped me grow in that area.
She tamed the lion.
My favorite swear word is MF. Because you can be a good one, a bad one, a sorry one, an ugly one, a pretty one, a slimy one, all those. So that's my favorite. But she shamed me on the golf course. I got her into golf, and she didn't want to play with me anymore after 2 rounds because she saw me throwing all these fits and uttering all these bad words during my tantrums. And she shamed me, man. And I was taken aback, and I had to address some things. I said, okay. So long story short, the last 3 golf outings, I have maybe uttered 2 curse words. And I'm a horrible golfer, but I love it. I go out there and I take the pain, but I'm a horrible golfer. And thanks to Miss Bonnie, I've only cursed maybe twice. And truth be told, it's more enjoyable. It is so much more enjoyable. So now I've turned into Chad. Gosh darn it. Golly gee.
No, I don't know who you're talking about. You know what it was like during
I have ever heard Brian Jones, Chad. Gee golly.
What the hell are we doing? Wait a minute. You're okay. So I am so glad that you are happily married now. This woman has got you calling her miss. She's taking the swear words out of you. That's a hell of a woman, Brian Jones.
That's what it took.
So you can't even give us one right now. She'd be mad at you if you gave us one right now.
Hold on.
I mean, he's about to go close the door. This is breaking news. Okay, come on. Close the door. You can whisper it if you need to. Just give me one. Give me one MF, Brian Jones. Come on.
Chad, you motherfucker. You trying to get me in trouble?
Talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Brian,
the inverse of this. Jones.
My wife claims that I am the reason why she curses so much today. It's reverse. You got to learn how to flip it.
That's the key question, Brian. Does your wife now say MF all the time because of you?
No way, no how. Every now and then she may utter one, but no. I've heard her curse maybe twice.
Wow.
And I obviously take note, like, whoa, what's going on? But no, man, none of that. But I'm gonna take your advice, Jeb. You gotta flip it. So I'm gonna see if I can.
You gotta reverse it.
You
gotta whip those curse words.
Don't be whip that. Look, bang, bang, bang.
Exactly. You have to coordinate too. We got to coordinate later.
I used to get that a lot, man. And I actually, when I was doing my CBS sports radio show with Greg Giannotti, we actually had John Witherspoon, the late John Witherspoon, come in one morning and sat down with us, man. It was a treat. And everyone used to think before I grew my beard that they said that was my doppelganger. A lot of people said I resembled him. And so the first question I asked him when he came in, I said, "Are you my daddy?" from then on, as you might imagine, it was a wonderful interview. He was such a joy and a treat to be around and enjoy his comedy.
That's fantastic. All right, let's dig into this Texas stuff, Brian.
Wait, hold on, mofo.
Okay. Sorry.
How many damn helmets do you have?
We have a few.
We outnumbered, man.
We have a few. See, unlike you, you wore all those helmets in actual games. I can only dream of it. So I have the dream wall of helmets behind me. I never wore any of them.
Okay. Yeah, you got everybody represented.
I got a few. I got you Texas and Rice. You know, I got you ready to go right over here for week one.
He's literally matching the helmets up based on who plays whom on the schedule.
Yeah, look, we got Texas and Rice. We got Florida State and LSU ready to go.
I got you.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately for those,
I don't see Utah matched up with the Gators.
Yeah, I don't have a Utah helmet. The people are going to help me out on some of them. I don't have every one of them yet. Don't have every one.
Okay.
Yeah. And for those Alabama fans, I'm sorry I don't have Murray State or whoever the hell y'all are starting with this year. Jeez. All right. So, Brian, we told everybody when it happened. In fact, I think we were on doing the show when maybe it got out that you had picked Texas, and I hit you up that day. I'm like, oh, my God, Brian's picking Texas for the playoff. So you and I think Danny Cannell at CBS.
Yeah, Danny surprised me. We were on the set about to take that segment, and he said, I'm going there as well. I was like, wow, give me a hug, baby. And you're right in your tweet. I'm no homer because I remember all the grief I received when I said a couple of years ago Texas was heading to Arkansas, that Arkansas was going to beat that booty, and that's exactly what they did. The reason I made that prediction is because, as I said in my retort to you, Mr. Ketch, the dudes are there. The man has remade this roster. And what was one of the first quotes Sark said when he took over? This roster is not constructed in a manner in which I would have constructed. And he has reshaped that roster. They have recruited just incredibly well. They're top 3, top 5 each and every year now in these recruiting rankings. And I recall asking Kyle Flood a couple years ago after he brought in all those O-linemen. What do you have, 6 4- and 5-star offensive linemen, 2 of which played a season ago. And he said he had some good clay to mold. And so there's still some work in progress, but all the dudes are there to win the Big 12. and this is Texas. And if Texas goes out and they win all those one-loss games they lost to last year, and every game they lost was a one-loss defeat. The overtime versus Texas Tech and the bowl game, all those were one-loss defeats. They flipped that, Jeff. They need to flip that, and they need to win those games. I don't see them going the way of Nebraska, who's lost, 20-something one-score games. They just need to flip what they did a season ago. They have the experience now on that offensive line. Quarterback can get right. I don't know what was going on in his head after Ewers came back from the injury, but all the reports I'm hearing, he's back to doing what he showcased in that Alabama game early on. Receivers galore. I'll give you a heads up. I'm going back to New York, do some preview shows. I'm picking Texas as the best receiving corps. I mean, with that tight end, Sanders, who's a freak, of course, Worthy, and now Mitchell, and my man Jordan Whittington. I mean, they got all the pieces. And what's the kid from Wyoming? Nair.
Yep.
They've got the pieces. If they stay healthy, that's always, a caveat. They have to stay healthy. Offensively, the pieces are there. The firepower is there. Even the running backs. I like they're going to probably go running back by committee. Fine. Open up some holes. Defensively, I said, early on this spring or after spring, I just need to see a consistent pass rush. Someone has to emerge in that space, and it may be that 88 kid, the Sorrell kid. It may be the kid they recruited a couple years ago out of Alabama. I think he wears number 1. Someone has to emerge there as a legitimate pass rusher, so you don't always have to dial up the blitzes. Linebacker, you know what you have there. And I love if Catalan can stay healthy, if Jalen Catalan, the transfer from Arkansas can stay healthy, because I've been on his bandwagon since he was a freshman at Arkansas, because he will knock you-know-what in the dirt. This dude is a banger, and maybe that's why he's always banged up. But he brings the heat, man, and he's smart back there. And if he can stay healthy and all the other pieces around him, I think they have what's necessary, what's needed to win the Big 12. And if they win the Big 12, and they being Texas, they're going to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, he's got shoulder issues. Surprise. Jalen Catalan, he does like to hit, and it does come at a price. Talking to Brian Jones here on House Divided on the Orange Bloods Live channel. Brian, I find myself pausing a little bit with this Texas team. I'm waiting on Quinn Ewers to take that step. And while I think he does take a step forward, I still wonder in the biggest moments with the most amount of pressure, then again, we saw him play his best football against Oklahoma and Alabama. So it's a weird little conundrum and how he's developing. And then you've got Sarkisian, who has never won 9 regular season games in a row. So there's a level of winning and leading a team this season that will be at the highest level he's ever been at if they get there. Do one of those two people worry you more than the other as they start climbing the ladder of can they get to a level like that? Are they really ready for it?
Such as you, I experienced some cognitive dissonance as well when I was getting ready for last week's show and putting my thoughts to paper. That worries me is yours, but you're correct. We got a small sample of this guy being lights out. He was phenomenal in that Alabama game prior to going down, of course. And we saw bits and pieces of that the rest of the way when he returned from injury. Of course, not enough. He wasn't consistent at all. That doesn't concern me. What's going to concern me is coaching staff now. It's up to them. And I have a ton of faith in Sark calling plays. There was a play in that TCU game, and Chad and I discussed it, where Ewers didn't see Bijan Robinson over there on a little wheel route, wide open, man. That game turns out differently. We could go through film all the 5 losses of the season ago, and you can pick certain plays that were there that your quarterback didn't see. But we're crying over spilled milk. I think he sees those things a lot better this year. I have faith that he will see those things a lot better this year and have a better understanding of this offense than he had a season ago, and he'll be more consistent. Just understand, dude, I don't have to be, Troy Aikman. I don't have to be a Hall of Fame quarterback each and every play. You got enough playmakers around you. Stay within yourself and the scheme. And if that offensive line can hold up, he's going to pick everyone apart. They have enough pieces at the receiver position, as I've already stated. If they can give him at least, give me 3 seconds, man. That's all I need. Give me my 3 seconds. As Randy Cross would say, that first 3 seconds is on us. That after that, it's on you, Joe Montana. give me 3 seconds. That's all any great quarterback should ask for. And so if they can keep him upright, and I think he will show what we witnessed in his first iteration versus Alabama. So that was a little concern. More of a concern, Ketch, would be depth on the defensive side of the ball. I need those guys. If you can roll in, some reserves, give your starters a break every now and then, and not decrease in your productivity. That's when you're cooking with gas. So that would be more of a concern.
Talking with Brian Jones from CBS Sports, spitting out words like cognitive dissonance. That tells you, kids, if you take the dirty words out of your language, some big old clean ones show up. I mean, big, clean ones.
That's my man Mikey in Longview said that's some $5 words.
Dude, cognitive dissonance. That was fantastic. Hey, so Brian, I think if I'm a Texas fan today, I don't know if cognitive dissonance is maybe the way to describe it, but I know they're thinking about Tuscaloosa on September the 9th. Give us your assessment of that game right now. Hopefully we'll get a chance to obviously talk to you as we build up towards it, but give me your thought on the game. Would you pick Texas to be in it, maybe win the thing? Give us your sense of where Alabama you think will be on September 9th.
I think it's going to be an even fight. And going into last game, none of us thought it was going to be an even fight. We had no idea that game would come down to Bryce Young, Heisman Trophy winner, just doing what Heisman Trophy winners do, and saving the day for Alabama and getting in position for a game-winning field goal. A couple calls go their way, it's different. But I tell you what, it's going to be more of an even fight. There are more questions at quarterback at Alabama than there are at the University of Texas. Defensively, losing Will Anderson Jr., but you have Dallas Turner returning. He's a heck of a player. You got to block that dude. I just think Texas has what it takes. They've been out there with them now, and they've shown on their home field. This will be a totally different environment. I've been to Bryant-Denny a couple times, dude. That joint's going to be – that's big-time ball. That's big-time ball. So they'll get a feel for that. But what's the line now? 7, I believe. It's down.
Not bad.
7. I think Texas has as good a chance to win as Alabama has to win. We'll see what happens with this quarterback position. We'll see if Texas can put some heat on whoever's playing. Was Buckner or if it's Milroe. And Milroe's he's similar to that cat we had, that Malik Murphy. This dude can move. That's Arkansas when he was thrust into action a season ago. He can move. So he's a hell of a talent. You got to corral him. He's got some wheels from a passing standpoint. Still a work in progress, but the wheels are there. He's definitely a threat if you can't keep him in that pocket. So I'm anxious to see at Alabama because the defense hasn't been as dominant as they were in the past. Anxious to see who steps up on that defensive line. Of course, you got Kool-Aid McKinstry in that secondary, and that's going to be – these are going to be first-round battles for these guys going up against that secondary and the receiving core at Texas. And Mitchell's gone up against them, of course, playing at Georgia. So I think it's an even fight, man. They've got just as good a chance. They go in there, don't get just blown away by the atmosphere and all the pageantry and pomp and circumstance of playing at Alabama. They can win now, but it's going to be a huge barometer of where this team is. That's going to be a huge step. Can they finish the drill and get a W this time, unlike a season ago?
Brian, much to Chad's chagrin, I am not going to ask about the Aggies right now because I don't know how much more time we have. And Chad told a story earlier
Mm-hmm.
I have said on this show before that back during the Mac days when I was younger, Mac had this ability that when he would get mad at me, he would try to make me feel bad, like he was my father and I was his son and I had let him down in some way and whatever it was that he was mad about. And then earlier today, I can't even remember the context that it came up, but I said 50-7, the Baylor game from 1989. And Chad claims that Mac threw that in your face.
Oh, yeah. That was one of.
And let's be clear, Brian Jones, this is something you've discussed before, like on the radio, and I believe even on television. I'm not putting out your secrets, am I?
No. We had said a long time ago. That was one of my many meetings in the head coach's office where I had to look around and make sure there was no plastic on the floor, thinking I was about to get whacked. Oh my goodness! Yeah. Let me say. You beat Baylor. No, I'm sorry. Baylor beat you 50-7. Let me see. You lost to TCU. You lost to. Oh man, that was brutal. That one was rough. Yeah, 57. They got us, and even brought up the Cotton Bowl. Let's see, lost Miami 46-3. Chad, to tell you, I ain't one to toe the company line. They weren't paying me enough to toe the company line, but that's water under the bridge. That cat is doing some good work at UNC. He's got a hell of a quarterback in Drake May. If he can shore up his offensive line, they could be in the thick of that ACC race. But yeah, so you brought that up to say what, Ketch?
Well, because I always was in trouble with Mac.
Well,
now the 50-7. I
who
think
was it?
we were talking about the coldest games that we'd ever been to. And I mentioned that the 1988 game in Waco, it was like a 40-mile-an-hour wind. And at one point they kicked off, Baylor did, and the ball went straight up into the air. And then it came down and they recovered it for an onside kick. And it was just – and somehow the other game came up.
Yeah. Well, that 88 game, I was my redshirt year.
Yes.
So I didn't have to brave the elements for that particular game, but I do recall watching that back in Austin and somewhat happy I didn't have to go.
Yeah. You were lucky.
Yeah. The door 50-7, but I wasn't. I was out there participating in that ball game, but that one really helped. Actually, I think the next week was the A&M game. That's when we had the big fist fight in the middle of the field there in College Station. So that really was our low point, losing it in that manner. And that was a sad afternoon. And that helped propel us to wanting to change everything about that program going into that offseason. And that's exactly what we did.
1990 probably doesn't happen without 1989?
No doubt it doesn't happen. Because remember, if you recall, and we beat Oklahoma. I think we may have beaten Arkansas prior, and then we beat Oklahoma. We're riding high. We have the one loss, maybe two losses at that time. It was Colorado and Penn State had beaten us at that juncture. So we're feeling pretty good about ourselves. I think we may have beaten TCU at home, and then Tech comes in and we have them beat, and then you give up the big 3rd and 30 pass that goes for a touchdown. So we were feeling good about ourselves, and then the Tech game, and we had a precipitous fall following that ball game. We just couldn't get right, couldn't get out of the way. Houston blasted us in the Astrodome, and then, of course, Baylor did what they did, and it just went downhill. From there, we lost to A&M that last game. We actually put up a good fight. He's there on their home field, but still ended up losing that ball game. But you're correct. 90 does not happen without those butt whippings we took in 89.
Steven on our chat says, Brian, that beard is something fierce.
Miss Bonnie, this is my off-season look. Miss Bonnie said she liked it, so I didn't cut it off heading into the last season. And I'm keeping it again, man. I'm digging it. I like it.
Hey, happy wife, happy life. Brian knows that one.
Ain't that the truth? I didn't learn that at first, man.
Hey, sometimes you got to learn, it all.
The hard way, Chad. No, I'm hard-headed.
It's a progress thing. Real quick, Brian, let me fit this in. We can save my Aggies for another time. All three of us are Cowboys fans. You and Ketch have a similarity to me that you guys both work in college football so closely, but I feel like both of you use your Cowboy fandom just to be a fan. You just get to kind of sit back and really soak it in. Give me your Cowboy thoughts. How far do you think they can go? How much you believe in the whole Mike McCarthy calling plays thing?
I don't care who calls plays. We got to believe in Dak. And I'm not there. I don't think he can get him there. I've told you, my hierarchy of Cowboy quarterbacks: Staubach, Aikman, Danny White. And then I may put Glenn Carano ahead of Tony Romo. Just because of what he did on Thanksgiving versus Washington. Listen, I'm not a fan. I just say that. I am not a fan. He talks too damn much. Just go play. He tries too hard to be the right person and say the right thing. Hell with all that, man. Just go ball. Go ball. Quit towing company line and just go ball. Everyone doesn't have to like you in that locker room. And who was it who was just cussing him out? His teammate was calling him all types of names. What other starting quarterback in the league that has been a starter as long as he has such as, I think it was the DB was cursing him out. You don't do that to your starting quarterback. No, man. I don't think there's a lot of respect for him in there. And until I see it, I don't think he can take us to the promised land.
Yeah. Ketch, you got something real quick?
I was just thinking, I haven't seen any of the Jets players on Hard Knocks curse out Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. That's what I thought. The first thing I thought was, I wonder if in the prime of the Patriots run, if somebody does that to Tom Brady at practice, what happens?
I remember me being a Yankees fan. I forget the player. There was some player that got in it with Derek Jeter. Next day, gone. You don't do that to the captain, man. And he wasn't even the captain then, but he'd already proven his worth and was a significant part of that club. There's just certain players you don't do that. And to disrespect your quarterback, I don't care how angry you are. You say it under your breath, and I don't care how good a player you are. And Diggs is a hell of a player. But you don't say that to your starting quarterback, a guy who's been there as long as he has. And that right there was an indication of the lack of respect in that locker room for him.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Brian Jones. I love a lot of things in this world more than Brian Jones. It's not a long list. It's a list. It's not a long though. There's things before Brian, but there's not a lot of things before Brian. Oh my God. I'm so excited. If you're on Twitter at Jones and Famo, check him out on CBS. Now, Brian, can we put you down for a Thursday appointment? Can we put you down for one of those?
Let's do it. There may be some adjustments, as you know, depending on my schedule, but put it down. Let's do it.
Okay, and tell your lovely wife I'm going to need one per week, one swear word a week. You will call me that swear word, and then we'll move on. How about that?
Thank you. Because sometimes I need to get it out.
Right.
Thank you.
And you've been swearing at me for years. You've been calling me names for years. I can take that.
This is therapy. So I need my therapy session every Thursday with you two.
There you go. I love you, man. Take care. We'll talk to you next week.
Love you, man. Congrats on the show. Good to see you, Ketch.
There he is. Brian Jones, ladies and gentlemen.